So I recently reviewed the latest album by the band Halestorm. It's called Back from the Dead. This one came out a couple weeks ago. That video is doing pretty well, so I decided that I'm going to rank all the albums. Now this band is fairly new. They only have 5 studio albums, so those are the ones I will be ranking. They have a lot of EPs as well, and actually haven't listened to them. I know they have 3 EPs that are just cover songs, and then they have, I think, an acoustic version of their album Vicious, which is like an EP, and many others. So I won't be focusing on them, and if there are any live albums or anything like that, I won't be focusing on that. Just the 5 albums, so that should go by pretty quickly. And also, this is also a band that I am kind of new to. I never really listened to them that much, before listening to Back from the Dead. And I pretty much spent the entire week listening to these albums over and over. I think I listened to every one maybe 5 or 6 times or something, because there's only 5 of them. So I'll probably just go into a little more detail than I usually do in my rankings. So with that being said, let me jump right into it. So at number 5, I have their album Vicious from 2018. Now this one is not that bad. I think it's a decent album. They only have 5. Something has to come on the bottom. But for me, I guess this is the one album that didn't really click with me after listening to all 5 albums. So basically, there are a lot of good songs here. We got Black Vultures. That one starts off. That one's kind of okay. Skulls. That's kind of more of a very a pop type of song. The lead single Uncomfortable. That one was good. It's not very memorable for me, but I like the heavy riff in that one. Buzz, that one again is kind of more a little kind of grungy. Now on this album they do get it a little grungy, I thought. So I thought that was cool. I like grunge, I like alternative rock, but again this one's at the bottom. Other good songs, Do Not Disturb, I like that one a lot. Conflicted, that's another kind of a poppy, kind of grungy type of song. And Killing Ourselves to Live, I think that was the one that stood out for me, and that's not either any of the singles. Maybe it was because of the fact that I was listening to this while I was working, and just the idea of killing ourselves to live. Here we go, killing ourselves to live. That's a ballad. And then the other ones were not very memorable. Hard and Novocaine, Painkiller, which again is not a Judas Priest cover. White Dress, Vicious, The Silence. Those ones were kind of forgettable for me. So this is a decent album. It's not a bad album, but just for some reason I have this one at number 5 at the bottom. At number 5, I have the new one, Back from the Dead. Now the title Back from the Dead was basically, when the pandemic happened, they were unable to tour, they weren't able to record. And, that was really difficult for the band, because this is the type of band that, is constantly touring, and for that reason, they kind of went through a depression, and a lot of song titles deal with mental health and things like that. So I think this was a good album, but it has a couple high points and a couple low points. So let's talk about those. So the high points for me were The Steeple, the lead single. I really love that song, probably one of my favorite Halestorm songs. And the other one, Terrible Things, which is a ballad. And that's really a good one. It's a really heartfelt ballad, and this is also one of my favorite songs. And then the low points, which I talked about in more detail in my review, but I Come First and Psycho Crazy, those are those kind of bitch, mean bitch, whatever you want to call them. Those types of lyrics, which Halestorm does a lot. And then the rest of those songs are kind of just okay for me. I like Raise Your Horns. That was a good ballad. I kind of like Strange Girl. That's cool. Maybe a modern poppy type of song. And there's some heavy stuff. Back from the Dead, I thought that was a really good one. That's heavy. And then there's Wicked Ways, which is okay. My Redemption, another pretty good ballad. Actually, I really like their ballads. Lizzie Hale with her vocals. She's either really heavy with her vocals, with that really kind of almost that Pat Benatar type of style. And when she sings heavy, then when she sings light, it's almost like pop music. Almost I'm thinking of the artist Pink, which I like Pink. She has a lot of good songs. And like, so when she does the ballads, I always think of like Pink. But anyway, decent album, you know, pretty good. 11 songs, 37 minutes long. So at number 3, I have The Strange Case of from 2012. Now, I've heard some people comment on my last Halestorm video saying that this was their favorite. And I guess I can see why. I think this is a very like heavy album. You know, there's a lot of variety on it. Some like ballads on it. There's you know, some heavy stuff, and I thought it was very good. This could be like their heaviest album, you know, when you think of it, because when you start with the album, it starts with "Love Bites, So Do I." That was a lead single. That actually won a Grammy for the best metal performance of that particular year. On that single, it has Ms. High. That's like another very heavy song. Then it has a lot of these like lyrics, like these like kind of like bitch lyrics, I guess you can call it. For example, the song "You Call Me a Bitch Like It's a Bad Thing." Those are the kind of lyrics that kind of did like turn me off. And I think the fact that like this is not 2 or 1 is because of those types of lyrics. Because there's a lot of that like toxic relationship, you know, glorification of. You know, that type of like struggle love, you know, those types of you know, topics. And I think that's like the one thing I didn't like about the album, which is why it like lost a couple of points for me. But the music is really good. You know, the ballads are on point. The heavy stuff is really heavy. So a couple of the other songs like "I Miss the Misery," that's similar to that song that like Eminem did with like Rihanna. I forget the name of it, but you know, just glorifying those like toxic relationships. Then you got like a "Freak Like Me," pretty heavy song. You know, "Beautiful with You in Your Room." Those are more like poppy stuff. We got "The Rock Show," really hard rock type of, almost like an 80s hair metal type of song. "Daughters of Darkness," a really cool, kind of like a dark theme one. That one I mentioned before, "You Call Me a Bitch Like It's a Bad Thing." That one, I think that's the one like I didn't like that much, and just maybe because of the thematic content of that song. And the last song is pretty good, called "Here's to Us." It's one of those songs that you can imagine people just being very drunk at a bar and singing along. So that's a really good song. So again, this is a decent album. I wouldn't say it's their best, but it's very solid. So for that reason, I have it at number 2. I have their self-titled debut album called Halestorm. This was released in 2009. This one has a really good start, because the first song is called "It's Not You." Now it just really kicks off. You hear Lizzie Hale singing, "I'm in love with somebody, someone who completes me." I'm really singing pretty bad, but anyway, that song then has this really like heavy riff, like almost like really like thrash metal. So that one, a really great you know, way to kick off the album. Then the next one, like "I Get Off," another. This was another one of the singles. Another really awesome song, and. After that, all the songs are really good. There's some of the like poppy stuff, some like the heavier stuff. So we got "Bet You Wish You Had Me Back." That was like more of like a pop song, but it's really good. Then there's "Innocence," "A Familiar Taste of Poison." That one was really another good one. "I'm Not an Angel." You know, "What Were You Expecting?" I think on this album, they do have like some of their like heaviest like riffs. But the songs are very well written. I think like this is a very like consistent album. You know, it starts like really good, but all throughout the rest of the album, it's just very consistent. You know, so some more poppy stuff, some of the heavier stuff. For example, like "Dirty Work." That one's like towards the end of the album. That one really heavy riff. So I think they get like a little like thrashy on this album. But the songs are really great, and for that reason I have it at number 2. This one I really enjoyed listening to over and over again. So for my number 1, this might be a shock to many of you, but I like this album the best. It's called "Into the Wild Life." This album, just the songs are really good. I don't really think it's a super heavy album. There's a lot of like pop music on it, a lot of like grunge, alternative rock. Maybe that was why I liked it a lot. But let me talk about the song. So It starts off like pretty good. So we got like Scream, that's a decent opener. I Am the Fire, Sick Individual. Those ones are pretty cool. They're like alternative rock, very like grungy riffs on those ones. I think it has a very like decent start, but the one that I think like the middle of the album is where it gets really good. So let me talk about that a little more. So when we get to track 5, we have the song Dear Daughter. This is a ballad. The lyrics are just very heartfelt, very emotional, something Halestorm doesn't really do often. I know they have those like angsty type of lyrics, but this one really like stood out for me, and I think this is one of the reasons to have this album at number 1. So I have the lyrics here on my phone here. I'll read some of them. You know, dear daughter, don't worry about those stupid girls. If they try to bring you down, it's because they're scared and insecure. Dear daughter, don't change for any man, even if he promises the stars and he takes you by the hand. I really love those lyrics. They're like really good. This song reminds me of that old Cat Stevens song called Wild World. That was covered by Mr. Big later on. And I think like for that reason, I really love this song, but the rest of the songs like after this are really good. So this is followed up with New Modern Love. It's a really cool like pop song. This one again reminds me of Pink. I mentioned Pink before. You know, I'm gonna give it up, not giving it up. Something along those lines. I'm not sure if I'm getting the lyrics right. Then after that is the song Mayhem. And out of all the albums that I've listened to, this is the one that I knew for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it was on some playlist or something, but very super heavy song. You know, really heavy riffs in this one. And great song. And after that is Bad Girls World. Another one of those like pop ballads, but I really like this one. You know, they'll hate you 'cause you're beautiful. Again, my singing is pretty bad in this one, but that one really stood out for me. And the next song, Gonna Get Mine, it has that like almost like that like Anthrax Indians type of riff. Like, you know, that's what it reminded me of, but I really love that song. So I think like that stretch of songs from Dear Daughter to Gonna Get Mine is the reason why I put this one at number 1. Now the rest of the songs are 4 more songs, The Reckoning, Apocalyptic, What Sober Shouldn't Say, and I Like It Heavy. All solid songs, really good ones. This is a really good album, 13 songs. It's a longer album, you know, than usual, 49 minutes. You know, it starts pretty good, it ends pretty good, but just that middle section of this album is just like really awesome for me. And for that reason, I have it at number 1. So that is all. Let me know in the comments, what would you change about my ranking? What's your number 1? Just give me your top 5. Well, they only have 5, so give me your top 5. So that is all, and I will be back this weekend with a new album review. So thanks for watching. See you all in the next one.